open this meeting at 7:10.
The date in the...
Today's April 24th. It's approximately 7:10 p.m. And if we could call a roll for those that are here. Ooh, I got any.
Ms. Toll? Mr. Metzen?
Here.
Chair McLaughlin?
Here. And you are?
Steve Robertson, Gardner staff.
Okay. And just as a note that after this meeting, the Historic Review Board will be having a work session.
Yeah, it was previously scheduled at 6 o'clock and it'll be moved.
Okay. So I am going to the agenda, and we're going to start. Is there any public comments on items not listed on the agenda? And obviously we have no notes to talk about. So we're going to get right into the Preservation Grant Program. We're going to start with Preservation Grant 12-2, 536 Holmes Lane, porch and window repair. If we can let staff do their thing.
Thank you, Chair McLaughlin. This is PG 1202, our preservation grant.
There we go.
And this is a preservation grant for a porch repair to the Rose Farm, which is located at 536 Holmes Lane. And if you, also known as the Holmes House. If you recall, the grant program is generally used for two different types of projects. One is window repair and storm window installation. The other is porch repair, siding repair, or the replacement of missing architectural elements. This kind of falls in the secondary category. The applicant has turned in some bids for some larger projects, but indicated in the grant application that they're just asking for matching funds for the porch repair, and they'll pursue any window repair or storm windows at a later time. What I'd like to do is show you some photographs of the existing condition that were turned in by the applicant. How do I get to in the front porch? And at this time, the applicant would like to choose the contractor who provided the bid, John Huffman. If you can see on the second page, he spelled out sorry, apologize. Not John Huffman. Go back. Cherryville Construction. And what I've asked Ms. McGriff, the applicant, is if she could provide to staff, or if the Historic Review Board wants to see it at a meeting, additional information on this contractor's background in historic buildings. With the window repair program, we have kind of a pre-identified list, and when people utilize these window repair contractors, we generally know the quality of their workmanship. With this contractor, we don't have much background on how they have worked on historic homes, and so as a condition of approval, I'd like to add that the applicant provides background information and prior work that this contractor has done, and you can either choose based on her testimony this evening, plus additional information she provides to staff, or you can request that this be continued to next month in order to get that information. So based on the background information you receive, you can indicate back to staff how you'd like to proceed with that. But I would like for the record to have more background information on this contractor's experience. But porch repair generally does meet the requirements, so I think it should be processed in our matching grant, which is up to $1,000, 50-50 match. So I'm here to answer any questions, and I know the applicant is here to answer any questions. And this is the McLaughlin Memorial Association. As the applicant, Denise McGriff, is speaking on behalf of the McLaughlin Memorial Association, and if you have any specific questions about who they are as an organization, I will defer that to Ms. McGriff.
Yeah, can we approve this? Can we approve this grant, or can we approve this grant conditional upon the with the stipulation that she brings this extra?
Yeah, you can. I would recommend that you listen to her testimony and then decide if you wanted to have it as a supplement material that's provided to staff for the record, or if you need to have more information before you can move forward with the recommendation of the grant. And I'll leave that to your decision-making.
Okay. All righty.
All right, that's what I have. So I'd like to bring up the applicant.
Come on up. Name and address.
That's fine, I'll stay here.
You don't have the computer.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Denise McGriff, and I am the treasurer of the McLaughlin Memorial Association, and I'm also treasurer for the Rose Farm Management Committee, and I'll explain how those two organizations work. Our address is 713 Center Street, just on the opposite corner, and our offices are located in the Barclay House. The McLaughlin Memorial Association took deed to the William L. Holmes House in the late 1980s, and it was deeded to us over 3 years' time by Ruth McBride Powers. And many of you probably know a lot of her work around the state. This was just one of the many structures that she rehabilitated and saved from dire destruction. The Rose Farm, as it's known as, but its real name is obviously the William Holmes House, was, as you know, was built in 1847, and it's one of the older homes. We noticed that we needed a lot of little repair work done on the property, but due to financial constraints, we are only able to do it in small bite-sized chunks. And because we will be opening at the beginning of June, the porch is really our first priority. It's where all the guests come up and go into the house, and it's been having some major problems. We had, unfortunately, an incompatible repair about 5 years ago where one of the straight grain fir boards was replaced with pine, and we didn't know that. And it, of course, has already started to deteriorate. Luckily, it's not in an area where many of our guests are walking, so it's on the upper end of the porch towards our kitchen door, as opposed to right near the front door. I met Jim from Cherryville Construction when he was asked to give a bid. Unfortunately, our president of the Rose Farm Management Committee, Mike Jarrett, is unable to be here tonight, but he was going to be here and talk about Jim because he has worked on his own home. And I'm trying to think of what Mike's address is. It's the McCowan House on Jefferson Street. And Mike and his wife have been in the process of restoring that and doing restoration work for, I'd say, probably 15 years. But I would be happy to get additional information about other work that Jim has done. He gave me a sort of a verbal overview, but I don't have any documentation, but he said I could get anything I wanted from him. So we would like to request approval of the grant for the porch, and we are okay with the condition of approval.
So Jim is with Cherryville Construction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't find out any of his stuff where his CCB number was.
We have that.
Do you have it now?
On me? No.
Yeah.
I would not hire anybody who
Sure.
did not have a CCB number, and we have been down that road. Not us personally, but we were aware of a situation involving a CCB number.
Yeah, and I mean, legally, anything,
No, we know, yeah.
any documents that anybody has for any type of bidding and stuff legally has to have a CCB number on
Absolutely.
there. And had I had time, I probably would have gone to the website and do it, but, and I'm sure the guy's licensed.
That can be a condition of approval if you'd like to add it. That can
It should
a
be
step.
on his letterhead. It should be
Yes.
somewhere.
I just
here
pulled this stuff off of
Yes,
his,
business card, really.
off of his website.
legally, yeah. So that $2,900 is more than just replacing the fir boards. It's just kind of doing all this other stuff.
Well, he's putting trim, the trim back on the end, and he's going to do some repair. I noticed when I was there yesterday that the steps from the yard one of them is broken, which, I don't know how that happened, but it is, so he's going to repair that. And there's one area, there's a, what do you call it, is a facing board. This porch is like this, and there's a fascia board on the front of it at one end, which was behind a large rhododendron, which has now been removed. We found some dry rot there, so we're going to take most of that off and put new back on.
So do you have a painting bid to paint this?
We have a painter who basically painted the backside of the house for us, and she said that when the porch was redone, she would come and paint it as part of our bid that we already had.
Gotcha.
So there won't be any additional expense for that.
Were there any structural items that need to be replaced?
Not that we know of. I think when they were there, I did not crawl under the porch, but they did. Mike and Jim did. I decided I was going to decline crawling under the porch.
Okay.
But when we have the boards off, we'll check all that as well. Not all of them are going to have to be replaced, but a good number of them have problems.
Probably gonna be
And
worse
that's
than you
unfortunately
think.
due in part to the fact that several previous Rose Farm Management Committee members really, like I said with the Pine Board, really were unaware that you needed to match like for like when you were making replacements.
Yeah. On this front porch step, there looks like there's quite a bit of deterioration, and it's starting to creep into the other one as well. Almost looks like it was cut in the middle and two pieces put together. Are you going to stretch a piece all the way across?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Believe me, Derek, some of the repairs that have been done in the past were not done to what I would call a preservation standard, and was done out of expediency. So we are probably going to be going back and making some corrections to a lot of some of those inappropriate repairs that were done. We have a large barge board on the back that needs to be, there's a little bit of dry rot in it. We discovered there was a hole that somebody just put caulk in it and then painted over it. And we did not know that.
Yeah. There was a big discrepancy in the bids.
We noticed that too.
Did that raise any flags, or were there some questions asked?
I know John Huffman personally from
Okay.
Blue Sky Builders. He has done work on my own home, and I asked him about that. His labor is a little higher. He has two people that he works with, himself and another person, and I think that was the additional cost, and I mentioned to him that his cost was so much higher than Jim's.
Okay.
Did he have an answer for you?
Well, he said that, he uses top-quality materials, and I said, well, you're both using, kiln-dried fir, no cheap materials here, it's just, it's labor.
Okay. Yeah, because usually half of it is labor. The cost of a bid is generally half labor and
The
half
materials are not
materials.
going to be cheap for this.
No, but it couldn't just be labor, the difference there. So I was wondering if it's, let's see, I want to make sure.
It's a post beam or hem for a kiln
Yeah,
dried
and
lumber.
that's really all we were going to do. We just asked him to give us
For
prices for
kiln-dried
everything so we
lumber
can
and
start
beams.
saving more money.
If you look at the
Special order
second,
it.
if you look at the second page, the comparable cost for the Blue Sky Builders front porch is $3,250.
Huffman's 3, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Those aren't too bad.
Yeah, it's not too
Sure.
far apart. It's-
29,
it's-
14.
The back porch is the one where they're going to have to take all of the boards off, because I think there is one of the supports might be having an issue, but people don't go back there, and we have that blocked off, so that's not anything that we're going to do right now. I said the front porch is the high priority because it's got the traffic.
that's true, and that's all I should be looking at. I apologize. So those are pretty close, yeah.
I think, I don't see a problem with anything unless staff wants to have more information on the builder that could go to the staff level.
And I'm comfortable if that's what the recommendation is, but I would like to have a little more background information for the file.
Yeah.
We'll get for her.
I'd agree with that.
I agree with that.
I think, I can make a motion to approve this with the caveat that more information would be supplied to staff regarding CCB number, background information on working on historic structures so that it can be in the file for future. That would be my motion. Unless I need to say something different. Okay, so then we have a second.
All right, this is for PG 1202, conditional approval of 536 Holmes Lane, or 915 Rylance Lane, which is another, the new address, excuse me, for this property.
Actually, that address is the address of the Dr. Daniels.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and then you got your, okay, 536.
Yeah, for the Rose Farm Homes house. Mr. Metzen?
Aye.
Sam with gusto.
Aye.
Chair McLaughlin?
Aye.
All right, the motion carries.
Thanks, Denise. Okay, next on the item, 12-03, 18598 Aladdin Way, storm windows.
Thank you. All right. So this is an application from the applicant who just recently purchased the McCarver House, and they're looking at installing some storm windows on the historic portion of the house. The new addition has new double-pane windows, but the main part of the house has historic single-pane and has been noticing some moisture issues and wants to try to resolve that and also do the added benefits of storm windows. He's submitted two bids, which are, one is for an interior storm window and one is for an exterior. And you'll see in your packet the Indo window, which is a new product that's come out recently, which I actually went to a preservation event and he had his kind of whole setup, and it's actually a pretty fascinating product. It is a pane of glass that has a rubber gasket around it, and you basically just, they'll measure to fit your window, put the gasket on, and then you just kind of push it in, and then it's held in place. And which means there's a benefit of you can take it out seasonally, you can take it out to clean, it's very easy to store.
That's on the interior.
And that's on the interior.
And so, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I mean, he was in the paper a week or so ago, but, so once those are in, you can't use your windows.
No, so most people don't open their windows from November to, March or April. So yeah, for people who opening their window is not a value to them.
Right. Yeah.
You could also take it out in the summertime and just use a temporary, window screen that you open up and put it in if you just want to have that kind of summer pass-through. And that's eligible because we had always identified that interior and exterior storms up until now, there hasn't really been a cost-effective interior storm window that kind of the general public would do. Usually the interior storm windows are more traditionally civic or big commercial buildings because they have these amazing windows that they can't put exterior on. So this is a new, exciting product. And the other proposal is a traditional Truax wood storm window. The only thing, they both qualify. And to this date, we haven't kind of sent people down a path of which one is better because we never had this. Personally, I like the idea of the Indo for this property because there are divided light windows. It'd be nice to keep that profile.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're in a position to say that we want it or not. But this is a grant, so you could choose to say you don't want to pay for. They could do it by policy, but that's something you could choose to do. This is your grant program to prefer the Indo if you wanted to, but that we'd have to kind of go up down a policy of why we'd want to do that. My gut instinct says don't obscure these beautiful divided light windows, but up to this time we've allowed applicants to pursue both options because we always feel that the benefits of an exterior storm window is you're protecting the historic fabric of the window from the outside effects of storm and rain. But the downside is, with all that protection, you get some obscuring. But the inside, you don't get the obscuring, but you lose some of the protection. So there are bonuses for both sides.
You know, when I go to that applicant submittal on document, it takes me back to the first grant. Like you've highlighted Aladdin.
So this picture that you're showing in the kitchen,
Yeah, for some reason, that was a set by the applicant, and the way it's saved, I apologize, but what he's showing is he's, on the left-hand side, he's taking the single pane window with the gasket, and he's just walking over in the second window, showing how it's pushed in.
and it goes in, it comes out as easy as it goes in?
Yeah, it really does.
So in case of fire, you could just...
Well, I don't want to comment on that aspect, but it's very easy to put in, take out. But that's one of the bonuses is,
It's
for the average homeowner,
Yeah.
they can seasonally
Well, they don't have to
kind
risk
of-
their life putting on structure.
No, they don't have to get a cherry picker, they don't have to get a ladder, you can seasonally
Did you say it's
install
glass,
your
though?
windows.
Plastic or
Plastic?
No, it's glass.
It's glass.
Not even plexiglass, huh?
No, it's glass.
No, I think it's a good product, and I like the fact that once you put it on, you can still open up the bedroom window and get out. That which you can't have with an exterior storm window. So
Bash.
So, and they're not that priced.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I think it's great.
I'm a big fan the moment I learned about them, so.
Well, I was looking on the documents to see the bids, but I can't open
Yeah.
that.
So right now, the bid for, and it's behind, if you want to right toggle on your screen, you can see above you, because I have it up, I have the bid right now.
Oh,
So if
he's
you
got
take
it,
your
he's
little-
got it.
It doesn't open.
If
I said-
you right toggle your screen,
I see it now, yes,
okay.
but I'm saying when I went to go
It
to
didn't open?
documents, it
Okay.
shows up on the first grant.
okay.
So I see $500.
So we're just matching the first 1,000
Yeah.
for max, so.
But I was curious on the Truex what that bid was.
I'm sorry, the Truex was first.
Like $1,000.
6273.
Got it. Yeah, I know the money part, I was just curious. Okay.
So, I'll leave it to you.
Groovy. Okay.
If you have any questions, the applicant is here, so
Oh,
you
okay.
can bring him up if you'd like to
Yeah.
ask any questions.
Do you want to come up?
Indo.
Window.
Say your name and address, please.
My name is Curtis Gutman. I live at 18598 Aladdin Way.
Which product do you prefer?
Well, I'm torn. We actually had the Truax quote. There was a Wooddale quote, which I was going to ask because the Wooddale quote's here for the exterior, but that's the price of Wooddale, but we included the
Oh, okay.
Truax, just to make sure it wasn't. I'm still thinking about it. I mean, the windows are beautiful, and I hate to see them get destroyed. And I put the Indo windows in. I think I'm going to lose some life on the windows on the other side, but
Some light, did you say?
life of the windows. The wood is going to, I mean, it's just going to wear out quicker on the outside. I like protecting them, you know,
Oh,
just
I
for the
see.
storm season. But then I really like the fact that they're beautiful and you can see the
Depth.
yeah.
Depth.
Yeah. So
a pro and
I think I'm leaning towards the Indo window. I'd still like to have some time to think about it if I had the freedom to choose. You know, my only concern about the Indo window is, besides insulating properties of added storm windows and, you know, saving energy, was that they were getting condensation on them in parts of the house, the insides of the windows. And so, and I asked the window store about that, and they said it's just a difference in temperature from outside and inside. Obviously, I can increase the heat and circulation in the home, could help mitigate some of that, but I'm looking so I don't have to heat the entire home, you know, all year round when we're not in every room, all year round. So my only concern is that the Indo window will help mitigate that. I want to make sure it doesn't, you know, if it's still getting water inside on the actual wood frame windows with the Indo window, then I'd probably go with the outside window. So I'm going to investigate that, and I want to probably go and visit the company and try and get some references and see if people have used them. And if they say that they work great, then I'm probably going to go with that one.
I guess I look at it as, you know, storm windows, they protect the window from the outside, and that helps. These windows, I see that, you know, you get a nice view of the window. Storms do more than just insulate. They protect, especially these windows that are pretty old. So there's pros and cons. I can see it. And I think if, from a staff level, if we look at it as, both are fine, then that's going to be up to you, I think. And we can basically make a motion to approve it and giving you the option, because they're both viable.
I don't think do we need to know before we approve what he's going to
No, I
use,
did
who he's
have-
going to use?
One other question, though. Christine had mentioned some water problems or some moisture. Was it the indoor window that you were referring to, Christina, or?
He had some blinds. Why don't you tell a little bit your blind story?
Yeah, they're in the house currently on probably about half the windows on the old portion, which is the 2/3 to the north of the property. To help with the insulation of having single pane windows, they installed some kind of special insulating blind. It's like a thick blind that pulls down and it makes like an insulating curtain.
Okay.
And that's what the previous owners put in instead of storm windows. And it seems like a good idea, but in the dead of winter, what happens is that no airflow gets behind them between those and the window, and it just gets moisture on the window on the inside, it runs down, and it's getting the windows wet. So every morning I'm going to get up and dry them, because we don't want the water to sit on them all day.
Okay.
So that has to do with the previous blinds that are in now. If I put in indoor windows, those all have to come out. If I do storm windows, those could stay in place.
So are you the second owner since Handress did this?
I believe so.
Okay.
So there's no chance of any moisture getting between the indoor window and the...
That's what I don't know. I would love to know that. If not, I think they're probably an awesome product for historic homes. I just
That would
don't
be
know.
that would be the key question, because those regular windows, they sweat when there's any kind of heat in the back
Yeah.
of them.
Oh,
And
I-
if this keeps the heat from hitting those windows, that's what you have to make
No,
sure.
I guarantee you moisture's going to get back there. It's going to come through.
Somewhere.
It's going to come through and get trapped.
Get through the window and then get trapped because condensation happens where
Yeah.
the cold meets the warm.
That would be my concern.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I guess I was, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not for sure how that exactly works, but I was thinking if it was a very small leak and a small amount of air in there with the indoor window, maybe it wouldn't be enough, maybe we'd just get a mist, like a fine haze on it, but not actual drops of water coming down. That's what I didn't know.
Well, the moisture's coming from the exterior in rather
it
than the
is,
other way.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was drawing moisture from inside the house onto the inside window.
Now it's coming and hitting it, so with the storm window,
Stays
it's not
outside.
Okay.
It stays
Yeah.
outside.
And that condensation happens outside rather
outside
than...
instead of on the inside where you've got that pocket created.
Yeah.
Pros and cons, man.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I really just want to make sure the windows last, a good long time. I mean, I don't want to replace them in 15 years.
And this is the problem with the new product, is you're choosing whether or not to be a guinea pig. And if you make the wrong choice,
That's true.
it could happen that you have, a problem or some black mold kind of happen, and it just happens very small around the edges where, the jam and the sash meet. And then in a couple of years, it's like in the window and you can't really do too much to fix it. So that's something to take into consideration when you deal with that. And you can't paint over it.
So,
Bruce
yeah,
doesn't
so
fix it.
I don't know how we ultimately that's up to you. You could also be on the onset of a product that could have serious repercussions down the line, and you were, right out of the gate, or you go the safe route. And
Well, I was thinking I could call the company and see if they have some clients that had them, before this last winter and give references. I imagine they would. I don't know.
yeah, but to get to certain situation like what you have to compare, it'd be tough.
You could also go on the internet and see if you can find anybody that's been blogging about this.
Yeah. Or you could view the grant matching as a opportunity to get the tried and true.
Yeah, but it's not on mine. I mean, if they were still getting a lot of water on the windows with the indoor window, I'd take them out and I'd have to do it again a different way. I mean,
It's
that's what I'm
money,
trying to
though.
fix. I'm trying to fix the water on them.
I mean, you could try and maybe get one.
Yeah,
I thought about that.
It's winter, and
Thought about that. I could do one and wait the winter, but
Then you've got to wait a year.
that's a long time. And that's once the winter hits, it's
More heating.
yeah. Experiment, I guess, either way.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
The Park Service has experience with inside storm windows, and he could call over and talk to Heidi at the McLaughlin.
Does the McLaughlin House have them?
We have inside storms. They're not indo, but
Similar.
it's a similar style window. She could give you the name name of the...
That's a great idea.
Restoration work, and find out what their findings have been with the inside storm, because they just repainted everything.
Yeah, and that's been a couple years,
Yeah.
so there's been a test of it anyway.
So imagine an indoor window and a storm window are probably similar in the amount they block out air. I mean, it seems like, because even the outside storm window is not sealed.
We don't want to seal.
It's almost like
Yeah.
You know-
I mean, neither of them are.
inside-out scuba gear, you know? Because it's just the opposite way of what, anyway, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, so as far as rating, they're essentially the same. You know, you get a little bit more of a thermal rating with the wood around the outside. I mean, I'm really geeking out here. But the majority of it is glazing. And what your thermal rating is increased by is the air cavity in between the existing window and your storm. And that's really what prevents the buffer. Because heat doesn't pass through that as fast. So whether
wind.
it's on the inside or the outside, it doesn't matter as much. So, but then you get condensation issues and whether or not you want to protect the existing windows or keep them. So that's a different discussion. So
Okay.
I would move for approval.
Okay.
I would second.
This is approval of PG 1203, storm windows at 18598 Aladdin Way. Ms. Toll?
Aye.
Mr. Metzen?
Aye.
Chair McLaughlin?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we have a public hearing, so I have to read something. We'll now commence with the public hearing on agenda item HR 12-01, 18598 Aladdin Way, for the approval of a fence height. The criteria for approval of a land use action are contained in Chapter 17 of the Oregon City Municipal Code. The proposed development must comply with applicable provisions contained in the City of Oregon City Comprehensive Plan. Generally, unless otherwise noted, if a request is found to be consistent with the municipal code, it is considered consistent with the comprehensive plan. If you wish to participate in this hearing, including challenge for bias or conflict of interest, you must complete the sign-in form located on the table somewhere over there and deliver it to staff. Please do so immediately. The chair will only recognize those who have submitted completed forms. Testimony will be taken in the following order: applicant, testimony in favor, testimony in opposition, rebuttal by applicant. When recognized by the chair, please come forward to the podium, give your name, address, and make your statement. All testimony, arguments, and evidence presented regarding this request must be directed toward the applicable criteria or other criteria in the plan or land use regulation which the person believes to apply to the decision. Please address only the applicable criteria for the decision. Please do not repeat testimony. If you wish, you may choose merely to agree with the previous speaker's statements. An issue which may be the bias for an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals shall be raised not later than the close of the record at or following the final evidentiary hearing. Such issues shall be raised and accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the Commission and the parties an adequate opportunity to respond to each issue. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the decision makers and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Failure of persons to participate in the public hearing either orally or in writing precludes that person's right of appeal to the City Council or LUBA. Written testimony submitted prior to the hearing constitutes participation in the hearing. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues related to the proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the decision maker to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in the circuit court. Prior to conclusion of the initial evidentiary hearing, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence, arguments, or testimony regarding the application. The Commission shall grant such requests by continuing the public hearing pursuant to the standards contained in ORS 197.763. Do any of the board members have a conflict of interest or ex parte contact regarding this application?
No.
No.
Anybody visited the site?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but not for a while. Okay, let's start with staff.
right, thank you, Chair McLaughlin. This is a pretty straightforward request tonight, but the reason that it is coming from the board in a formal application is while this may be allowed, this kind of fence may be allowed if it was not an historic home per city code, because we would have seen the side of the house be considered the front of the house. By the historic standards, what would normally be the side of the house, we see the front of the house. And so on a staff level, I was unable to approve a higher front fence in the front yard, and felt that this needed to be sent to the Historic Review Board. I'm going to give you a little background. As you recall, the McCarver House was reduced to the lot we see now as part of the subdivision application. It originally had a driveway that kind of went straight down to Warner Parrott. The final layout of the subdivision kind of changed the orientation a little bit, so we worked really hard to make sure that the front yard stayed pretty hefty in front of the McCarver House, so we still got the understanding of that the front of the house was where the front door is and not the side elevation along Aladdin Drive. And what the applicant would like to do is take a portion of the front, where I've indicated in red up here on your screen, and propose either a 4 or 4-foot 6-inch fence to enclose this back area into the rest of the backyard. And he has proposed as part of this mitigation a landscape planting plan, which would have large shrubs that would be in front, so you wouldn't get a full expanse. You'd have kind of shrub, view of the fence, other shrub. It would kind of be, it would break it up.
Broken up.
So it wouldn't be all shrubs and it wouldn't be all fence. The larger question, normally it would be a 3.5-foot fence would be allowed per our Historic Review Board code, and every single fence proposed in Mr. Gutman's application would technically meet the Historic Review Board policies. So tonight, what you are really tasked to do is determine if A, the requested fence height still able to keep a larger front lawn feeling of the McCarver House, so it's still that feeling of where the front is retained, and if there's a particular fence, because he's now asking kind of for a modification, you can give him direction to if there's a particular fence you don't want to see constructed, or if there's one that you'd rather have, you feel be more compatible. You kind of have that authority now because it's being requested. And on a staff level, I felt moving from a 3.5 fence to a 4-foot fence seemed reasonable. I wanted to go back to the board about your opinion going from a 4-foot fence to a 4.5. And then the one fence that I did not recommend approval for, was the one that had the scallops.
I agree.
Can you get to the
Sorry.
fence stuff? There you go.
This middle one.
I just took a drive over there a couple days ago and looked around. All the fences over there don't have that skeleton.
And what the Historic Review policies basically says, a wood fence is a wood fence is a wood fence. We haven't gone into the detail of the design of the wood fence. And just to show you this picture right here is a prime example. The abutting house that's just to the north of the McCarver House, this is kind of their side yard fence, and it's your traditional 6-foot fence. And so this is, to your right of you, is kind of the top corner of his yard.
Right.
And so this is kind of the idea that the fence would kind of match up to what exists already. And this is the neighbor's fence. So if I went back to my map, the neighbor's fence is about right here, where my hand is. Is that about right?
Actually, it's just a little behind where I'm asking for the 4.5
Okay.
foot fence. So
So it
I'd
starts
go
about
maybe
right.
to 5,
And then return
5.5,
back to
and
his.
then up to 6, stagger right up to there,
Got it.
so it'd match.
Oh, right here. And then you would stagger down. No, but where does hers start? Hers
Oh, here, I'll
starts...
show you. The one you just looked at, it goes from the corner and it ends about right where the hand is. Well, maybe right about there. So there'd be another maybe 10-foot section I would build out to the 4-foot and stagger it down, so it doesn't just drop from 6 to
Right.
4.5. So it'd look at, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
Christine, is there a fence that Can you go back to that drawing?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
The drawing or the fence
drawing.
section? Yeah.
Where it's in purpley pink? What's back there?
Oh, this is my highlighting right here.
Well, where can you go over? What's
Oh, yeah.
back there?
So by code, what's allowed, there's nothing right now.
Nothing now.
It's the neighbor's backyard, but by code, he could start a 6-foot fence here. He could be 6 foot, 6 foot, 6 foot.
I got
That'd be allowed today. So that's kind of, I'm letting, my suggestion is, that he can do that at any time. That it's really this section, what is he's requesting the modification for.
And just to add with that going on the south side of that property, I don't want to bring the fence that high, that far out, because I don't think it'd look good in the neighborhood. I mean, because my neighbors on the right of me, it'd be like they're in my backyard. So I'm pushing it back a little with a 4.5 in the front on that side, and I want hopefully a 4.5 on the other side, so that it's got the continuity of, the same front fence from one side to the other, just so it looks good for the neighborhood. As you come down Loudon Way, it goes past my house and then down to the right. So a lot of traffic comes straight forward, to that corner. And I want it to look, obviously, not like a backyard. I want it to look like a front yard like the rest of the houses on that street.
Well, now that we've jumped ahead to the testimony.
Yeah, so we still have the ability for a public to make testimony, but right now, if you look at my conditions of approval,
Yeah.
the only one I have automatically, I definitely recommend a 4-foot fence. I think adding an extra half a foot height with
It's no
the
big deal at all.
landscaping plan is very reasonable, so I'm going to kind of defer to you for the other half foot. And then the recommendation for not to do that, the one specified
Right.
fence. And then also, more importantly, that this approval runs with the property, so the next owner doesn't have to come in, or if there's a fence gets repaired, it can be, don't have to come back for this. But what I would work with is an understanding that this fence height is in conjunction with an agreed-upon landscaping plan, so if a future owner comes in, they can't denude the front and just have it all fenced. So in order to meet this condition of approval, which does run on the land, they'd have to either meet or exceed the same kind of landscaping plan. It doesn't have to be exact, but it has to be kind of a like-for-like thought process, which is larger shrubs intermittently placed in front of the front of the fence to break up the mass.
So if we did do this, would these stipulations be included in any real estate documents?
No, it's a land use decision, so we don't record, but this is explicitly, even though land use decisions run with the land, I want to make sure I had a condition of approval that explicitly said that, so there was no misunderstanding about that.
But any purchasers of his property have
Well,
to find out that?
that's a private disclosure by the seller.
I see.
But it does run, and those are land use issues that it's not
Okay.
solely this issue.
Are there any more questions for staff?
I don't have any.
Okay, then I'm going
We have,
to turn this over to the applicant. If you want to state your name and address again, please.
Yeah, my name is Curtis Gutman, live at 18598 Aladdin Way.
Did you want to add any more to what you had said, or?
If I could say anything, it would just be summing up the 6 points I submitted. If you guys have read them, then I don't want to repeat them.
Okay. Okay. I did. Okay. Is there anybody in favor or in opposition or neither out there? Okay. Then I'm going to close the public hearing. And I look at it as there's enough landscaping there that even at 4 foot, 4'6", it's going to be taken over by landscaping more so than, to me, 6 inches isn't going to be a deal breaker in my opinion. But that's me. What's your thought? That's yours, yeah.
I'm inclined to say 42 inches, actually. I think that would be better. But,
3.5.
yeah. But up to 4 would be okay. I think the landscaping plan is very attractive. The plants there are probably going, I guess I don't know how large are those, can I ask?
I have the list of plants there, and
Pretty involved.
I'm not an expert, but the guy who I worked with, which was Big Sky Landscaping, he made it sound like they were going to go from, like 5 foot, 4 or 5 foot stuff, and then bigger ones that were like maybe, I don't know, 10, 15, sound like so then they go back down small. He had them kind of drawn in there where there's some larger ones.
Want to open this
But I
back
think
up?
most of the fence gets, you'll just see pieces of it here and there.
Do you know how far that fence is from the property line? Do you know, Christina? Like from that, is it
Oh, the setback from,
just from property line to that red line?
on the Ladin Way property line.
Yeah. So like
can find that out.
20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet?
It looks like 50.
I don't know the size of the
50?
lot.
Yeah, it's 2/3 of an acre, the whole lot, and I don't remember the exact measurements, but
That's my size, yeah.
I mean, I'm just curious, within a few feet, if it's too hard, then
We have the technology.
In any case, I wouldn't,
I only look at it.
recommend a 4 foot 6 inch fence.
You wouldn't.
No.
I only look at 4'6" because I think the vegetation's going to overtake it, and it might even look wrong, too low.
I don't think it'll look wrong at 4 foot.
I still don't get that jug handle thing.
But I think 4 feet is fine. And I think that it gives you a way to break up the fence so that your plants can even grow taller than the fence.
Okay.
And make it,
Well, we got a 3.5, a 4, 4'6".
Well, and I'll momentarily be able to measure this.
Okay.
'cause I think in the front, where it's viewed from the street,
My thing is if it's 30, 40 feet away.
90 feet.
it is, it'll look
Year to
smaller.
year, so it's probably about 60.
But
I'm almost there.
Okay. Starting to remember what my...
depends on what you're gonna need that space for back there. You're gonna need it for a dog that won't jump out.
Well,
You're
it's
gonna
part of
need-
what he wants for a dog.
So you think a 4 foot fence is gonna be tall enough for a dog?
Well,
Don't ask.
If they could stand up and look over it,
Where's the dog, right?
Yeah, my
The
dog-
Chihuahua, forget it.
Yeah, they're bigger than a
Vegetation's
Chihuahua,
gonna keep
so
it
I want to make sure they can't see over it, because if they jump up and see over it, they're going to do that all day long, and they're going to,
Right,
not just destroy the fence and
exactly.
landscape, they're going to make a lot of noise, so.
Sure,
Well,
Keep
again,
them
I
from
look at it
seeing.
as landscaping will deter that.
right.
Okay, so this I'm looking at here plus,
It's about in line with the back, right, of the house?
It's actually recessed from the original portion of the house.
no, but in line with the, is it in line with the rear addition?
That's the new addition.
Right.
No, it's in between them. It breaks off the corner, it comes, away from the porch in, so.
What do you got,
can
70
see it.
feet?
70
Pretty
feet.
far back. Pretty far back.
I'm just taking a midpoint of the addition.
Yeah,
here.
plus or minus a couple feet. That's pretty far.
So, just to give you a quick understanding, we have,
So the fence doesn't actually intersect with the original house?
Well, it'll come into the side of it where I guess it's already approved.
But it doesn't run into the north. Does it run south directly into the northeast
No.
corner? It
No, it
runs
runs adjacent
just
to the
east
west.
of it, and then
Yeah,
comes
east
that
of it
picture
about
right here.
15 feet.
yeah, because
Okay.
if you remember, you walk
So there's the
through,
front of that
and there's
house,
kind
and
of
then
a back patio area.
Yep.
So there's kind of a walkway.
I covered the house up, but right there at the top of the hand is the end of the house. Oh, so you got all that space, so you can keep the front porch view is what I was trying to get.
That's why I said it's
And I actually asked Mr. Gutman to cover it, because he had some long-range planning of what to do with landscaping, and there were some creative ideas about a future patio, and I just didn't want to complicate the issue, so I actually asked him to cover that up, because that wasn't what we were asking him to do.
Okay.
All right, well,
Well, I'm fine with 4.6 then.
I don't care.
Yeah. My opinion was, I thought it was intersecting with this.
No, it's
northeast
actually
corner,
further back.
And it's further back.
And 70 feet's more than most lots in that area, I mean, for depth anyway, so
I don't think
you
it's
might have to stretch
further,
to
but-
see it.
But if it was running right into that corner and it was, in plane with the back.
Oh, yeah, that would be
of the
a problem.
house. Yeah.
I can see
would
that.
throw off the proportions.
You
of the house
realize
from
if
the
you have a
front.
Great Dane, he could stand up on a 4'6" fence.
He can look over a 7-foot fence.
But I also see if this landscaping is going to exceed even 5 to 6 feet, that fence will eventually get swallowed up.
Landscaping being taller than a fence is a good thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Anybody want to make a motion?
I move we approve
prove what?
H,
And please indicate the height.
sorry,
Indicate the height.
4'6".
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Menson?
Aye.
Ms. Toll?
Aye.
Chair McLaughlin?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you. This meeting's closed. Thanks. Appreciate it. Go, build, spend money.
Oh, yeah.
Have
Okay.
lots of fun while doing it, too.
So I'm going to open up the work session, if
Yeah.
we can move through it pretty quickly. 'Cause I don't have a lot of